Hey, Armand here with your forecast for the week of July 8th, 2019. Boy, I don't know if it's going to be an easy week to get through, but it's an easy week to do the forecast for because it's pretty clearly delineated how it's going to work out. We start the week Sunday, before the week on the 7th, Sunday, Mercury stations to retrograde. On Monday, Chiron stations to retrograde. Very different types of retrograde energies, to be sure, but retrograde energies. And then on Tuesday, the sun is opposite Saturn. And that is certainly a very tense and somewhat slow energy. So what we have going through this week at the very beginning is this sort of stop, slow down, hesitation type of feel Monday and Tuesday. It's probably going to be a bit of a challenge for most of us. It's definitely going to be an issue if you've got paperwork, things like that to deal with, dealing with bureaucracy. It's not the easiest day to deal with authority figures in general, and certainly anything that has to do with bureaucracy, especially if Mercury retrograde is throwing off your own internal compass about things, or alternatively, if you've just screwed up some paperwork and that's why you have to have this sort of confrontation with authority. At any rate, if you're going to have any meetings or interviews or anything like that, Monday and Tuesday may not go badly, but be very well prepared, have a good story, so to speak, ready to go. Chiron station to retrograde, take just a second for that. Chiron stationing to retrograde in Aries is liable to sort of test our sense of our own abilities to sort of push forward and be ourselves and do the things that we need to do. It's a little bit of it's an ego deflator, let's call it, or an action deflator. Can we act? For all Leo is a little bit more ego, but can we act? So, there's hesitation. Mercury, it's its own type of hesitation, retrograding. And remember that mercurial mishaps tend to multiply, like my alliterations, around Mercury stations. So we've been coming into this retrograde with a lot of stuff going a little bit haywire as Mercury was out of bounds in Cancer and then slowed down and stationed in Leo. So this is really, we're already feeling the whole Mercury retrograde thing. It's liable to reach a kind of peak right on that Monday, Tuesday type of time. Chiron station, a little bit more internal, slows us down, and then Sun opposite Saturn gives us an issue that we need to work out with others, that we need to work out in terms of work, career. It's certainly not a good day to try to talk yourself out of a speeding ticket or something like that either. That's the beginning of the week. Ooh, but wait a minute. Venus squares Chiron. Venus in Cancer squares Chiron on Monday and then goes on to sextile Uranus. So there's a bit of extra tension there in terms of relationship. I think Venus in Cancer says, hey, are you here with me? And Chiron in Aries says, I don't know where I am. Something like that. But then when Venus goes on to sextile Uranus later in the day, it's kind of like, well, maybe we can somehow or another work it out. How do you work it out? I don't know. But, Venus is in the sign of Cancer and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. The term comfort food comes to mind. Just saying. Probably not a bad idea for any of us. Okay, beginning of the week, slowdowns, hesitations, frustrations, struggle, some degree of struggle maybe. And then, boom, Wednesday, Thursday, on out to Sunday, there's a ton of stuff happening. Now, on Thursday, the epicenter of this is Mars square Uranus. If tensions were building earlier in the week, if the bow is being drawn back, this is the release point, right? This is Mars square Uranus. It is an impulsive, very, very erratic kind of energy. Actions speak louder than words. You're trying to talk it out before. It doesn't work out so well with Mars square Uranus. Watch out driving. I know that was a caveat a while ago, but Mercury being retrograde, you get delays, and that leads to frustration, and then people have this explosive energy. The aspect is exact on Thursday, but already there are lunar aspects that are setting this off on Wednesday, and the moon is going to be in Scorpio, or it's not exactly freewheeling anyhow. So Wednesday and Thursday, release of tension. use it constructively. You know, if it's free-floating energy, if you're just waiting to see what happens, you could get pissed off, you could explode, you could really, you know, it could be the end of things. You're just ready to, like, you know, burn bridges and things like that. If you have a bit of a plan, if there's something you would like to direct your energy towards, it could be a pretty good energy. A little erratic, a little bit like, you know, working with a high voltage cable. You got to be a little careful, but it's not necessarily a problem. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So kind of keep that in mind. It's a potentially constructive energy. The Scorpio will actually help to direct that a little bit. Be aware, though, that some folks are just going to fly off the handle. People are going to be irritable. If it's going to be hot where you are, that could really be an issue as well, because that tends to spike tempers a little bit. So you want to be aware of that. Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, Saturday, well, Friday is maybe a little bit of an exception to the rule, but not too much of one. And then on Sunday, for the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday, I know we have Sagittarius moon. It's waxing, should be upbeat. It could be good. Could be good. I have good hopes for the weekend in terms of having some fun. Friday night, Saturday day. Have fun whenever you want. Have fun on Tuesday morning for all I care. It's just to have fun. But the weekend, if you're looking for that, the Sag moon is going to help out a bit. Then the sun comes into an opposition with Pluto. Sun opposite Saturn was a bit of a struggle with authority. This is a real power struggle that can come in any area of life. It's not necessarily one that's going to be so directed towards work and officialdom. It's one that could also show up in our personal relationships. It's one that can show up, just about anywhere, really. So, be aware that there might be a little bit of a power struggle thing going on. Those of you that are having Pluto transits to a planet would really be feeling it around this time as well. And those of you that have strong Pluto Sun aspects in your natal chart will be feeling it around this time as well, too. Good strategy from Wednesday on to the end of the week, all the way to Sunday, is to work off excess tension with sensible exercise. Don't let Mars and Uranus get you to do something that is not sensible, like you haven't been on the treadmill for 5 years and you decide to do 10 miles at a top speed or something like that. That's not sensible. Don't do that. But sensible exercise might be a good way to work things off. A little bit of healthy competition, get up a game of cards or something like that. That's a pretty good idea for this week. In general, I think that towards the weekend especially, be ready to do your own thing in your own time. If you can find others that are on the same page, that's great. But I think really kind of doing your own thing in your own time, having fun by yourself or working by yourself, focusing on a project is probably a really good idea for a big section of this week. Any of that stuff, if you find others who want to play, that's great, but don't wait for others to come on board. That's what I've got to say about this week, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.